is so attractive in many ways, whether to be economic growth and investment. But ASEAN also aims to grow towards clean energy and sustainability. But to what extent? Let's discuss this more with the CEO of Siemens of ASEAN regions. So please welcome Dr. Thai Lai Pham, CEO of Siemens ASEAN. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Welcome to Voice of the Nations and welcome to Thailand as well. First of all, could you please tell me what are you doing in Thailand today?
Well, I just arrived this morning and I'm super excited to be back to Thailand because Thailand is one of our main country here in ASEAN, and it's great to be back, to be with the team, meeting customer, partner like yourself, but also visiting one of the most flagship projects we have here in the country, the floating solar project.
So you're on your business trip right now, and the aim of this business trip is to promote sustainability in Thailand?
Yes, it's not only sustainability, it's overall about to intensify our opportunities here in the country. Now, especially after rebound of COVID, since everything is opening again, we see a lot of opportunity in the country. So we want to be in the forefront in order to support our customer partners and also the government with all the initiatives. And of course, sustainability is one of the most important trends we see in the region, but also here in Thailand.
How is the situation in ASEAN right now?
I think ASEAN has come out of the COVID situations excellently. I think all the countries have really managed in their way, on their own way, but in a very good way to save the people, but also to reopen everything very fast again when it is safe to do so. And what we are seeing now since a year, that the economies in all the countries in ASEAN is picking up quite highly. And we are super happy with that development and are ready to support all the countries in ASEAN.
And because today you are in Thailand, what about the situation in Thailand?
In Thailand, we also, Thailand was and is a very important country for Siemens in ASEAN, but also on a global basis because of the strength of the economy we're seeing here. And Thailand is among one of the countries that has clearly benefiting from the supply chain diversification, but also the decoupling of supply chain and economies globally. And we see a lot of foreign direct investment coming into the country. And this is super exciting, and it's great for the country, great for the people, great for the economy. And we are very keen to be part of that exciting wave.
So what do you see in terms of opportunities in ASEAN and as well in Thailand?
So we see a lot of trends, but if I might summarize three trends. One I just mentioned, that ASEAN overall is benefiting from the investment wave coming into this region. We see that the region overall is continue to urbanize. So we see a lot of movement of people, one hand into cities, but we also see new urban spaces are on the rise. We are talking about, for example, here in Thailand, about the Eastern Economic Corridor, where a new space is created with a lot of infrastructure, but also business opportunities there. And then there's the third trend, which we also touch base on, is about sustainability, because all of the economies in ASEAN have recognized and also have put together their plan to get net zero carbon target as well.
Because the region is quite big, of course there will be a lot of challenges. What are the main areas that Siemens has already touched in the regions as well as Thailand?
So we are supporting the countries. Each of the country, as you said, has a different situation. In principle, we are supporting the nations in many fields. So one example is we talk about urbanization. We are helping the nations in building mass transportation infrastructure, for example, also here in Thailand, in the metro space. In later time, we are also talking about other transportation infrastructures as e-mobility, for example, e-charging infrastructure. We are also helping a lot of countries, but also companies, to set up manufacturing in the region, making manufacturing productive, more productive, but also efficient, but also putting and helping them to make facilities sustainable as well, because all of these factories they're putting here in the region in Thailand is done under the sustainability aspect. Yeah. We are helping startups to build up and to speed up with their manufacturing processes. We are working with different sectors such as the agriculture, the agro sector, in order to digitalize, for example. We're talking about vertical farming, we're talking about digital fish farm. So there are a lot of opportunity, a lot of projects we are dealing with at the moment.
Do you think that, like, for Thailand, just solely for Thailand,
Yeah.
what would be the solutions for Thailand to going towards, carbon-free, reduce gas emissions, or everything's towards the clean energy?
I think there are many different angles we can look into. Of course, there's about the energy transition for the country. It's moving from the generation side towards more cleaner generation resources, just such as wind or solar. And we have great example here in Thailand with a floating solar farm, for example, so that we are looking to transform the energy generation. The second field is also important, in my point of view, to consider is how do we consume energy? How do we use energy? And in this aspect, we can look into, for example, building infrastructure, because building infrastructure are responsible 40% of CO2 emissions globally, so it's also in Thailand the case. And we can look into how to make buildings more efficient, the way how they consume energy, for example, so that we don't need to always increase the generation capacity, but we also limit the level of consumption so that we can balance. Other aspects, things like what else can we do in order to limit the emissions in cities, for example, cities like Bangkok, where we're here today, so that we can create and enhance a high quality of life for the people. We are talking about e-mobility, or mobility that is low CO2 emissions, for example. And here we can talk about how to implement fast charging infrastructure in order to transit the transportation, individual transportation from combustion engine towards electrical vehicles, for example.
I would like to talk about one of the pilot projects that Siemens has worked with EGAT Thailand,
Yes.
which is at the Ubon Ratchathani at the Sirinthorn dams. You're using 3 types of technologies. Could you please tell me about that and mention about that a little bit?
Happy to do so. So basically what we're doing is that we are integrating the power that is generated from the solar panel into the grid. By doing so, we are providing the grid technology that is enable the integration. And I think the great thing about this technology we have implemented in the project is that it's a cloud-based solution. It means that you can control and manage and monitor that everywhere you're sitting, so you don't need to be sitting outside. So it's quite exciting. And we are making sure that we are not losing any electricity that is generated and optimize the maximum out of the panel generation.
So make sure that everyone would benefit with these technologies.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so far, it can have generated the solar power
Yes,
about 45 megawatts,
absolutely, yes.
which is, as you mentioned about that before, it's about 70,
73 soccer fields.
soccer fields. So
Yes.
that's quite huge.
Yeah.
And as for Thailand, still, what are the obstacles and challenges, and what would be your recommendations?
I think that this is a very good example, and I really congratulate IGAT for taking the leadership to implement such a project. And I think what Thailand can do and what the government can do further to promote further investment is, and not only solar but also wind power, because you have also wind power opportunities, is to provide an attractive tariff system that encourage also private investor to build up renewable resources such as solar or wind power in the country on the mid and long term. So I think that's a incentive system will stipulate and help a lot. This is something where we have seen, for example, in other economies in ASEAN, for example, Vietnam, they have done that a couple of years ago, and we could see that the ramp up of the solar power capacity in Vietnam pick up very fast.
But you are also willing to give solution and assist to the 10 countries in ASEAN as well, especially in Indonesia.
Yes, of course, we are also keen to work together with all the economies here in ASEAN. We are also working in Indonesia intensive. We have also a great presence. By the way, we are celebrating our 50 years anniversary in Indonesia this year. So yes, we are very keen in supplying the know-how we learn. For example, here in Thailand with the floating solar field, that is one of our reference projects, and bring it to other countries in ASEAN.
Because of the countries are quite diverse in terms of each country has their own ways, their own culture, and their government as well. Do you think that in terms of one single block, when will ASEAN be fully implemented towards the clean energy?
I think ASEAN, as you rightly said, we are talking about 10 countries and each of the countries different. I think there's a huge opportunity for the 10 countries to team up together, in my point of view, because the renewable resources in the 10 countries, maybe with the exception of Singapore, is huge. So, and if we are creating a mechanism that allows the exchange of energy across the different borders efficiently with a trading mechanism that allows the resale of power, for example, I think the region can benefit a lot in terms of helping each other with renewable generation. For example, countries like Thailand, countries like Indonesia, country like Vietnam, and so on, they can ramp up higher capacities in terms of renewable resources, and that can be leveraged and used across all ASEAN countries. So not everybody needs to ramp up. We see also good example already today, for example in Laos, where Laos have a lot of access of hydropower that is export to Thailand, for example, also some part of that to Vietnam. And I think the Singapore government is also looking into importing hydropower. And if we could extend it to the 10 countries, I think we have a great opportunity and a great asset to transform the whole region towards a greener energy generation.
Well, last, what would be your future plans?
I think the future for ASEAN, but also for Thailand, is great. And we want to support the economies around here, but also in Thailand, to become more competitive, to support the economies to strengthen their basic infrastructure, to make it more resilient, but also to make it more competitive in terms of attracting further investment, because we need good infrastructure in the country, but also with a good infrastructure is something that also help and increase the quality of life of the people as well. So on one hand, increasing competitiveness of the country, on the other hand, at the same time helping to strengthen and increasing the quality of life. So, and this is our mission. We would love to continue to work together with all in order to transform the everyday life of the people in ASEAN, but also in Thailand.
As a Thai, I am looking forward to until that time comes. But for today, thank you very much. I've heard that you have a short trip to visit the Sirinthorn Dam also.
Yes, I will visit. I'm very excited.
And maybe increasing the capacity of the solar power, right?
We would love to.
Okay, but I wish you to have a great trip. But for today, thank you very much for joining our program.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and it was a great pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you very much.